Who are you?
What was it like to lose everything in a day?
This is not gonna end well for you guys.
What's Superman like?
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
Welcome back, everyone. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. They released a new Supergirl trailer focused mostly on crypto. There's a little bit more of what's going on with Lobo during the movie, so we'll break it all down. The hallowed tradition of Super Bowl Sunday where we all gather around the TV to watch all the latest trailers, and there's also a little bit of football on the side too. Probably the biggest thing during this trailer they reveal is where crypto originally came from, and it is a lore change from the many different origin stories that he's had over the years since they introduced him in the comics a long time ago. It's meant to be a twist on the original origin story, the very first origin story, that he started out being Kal-El, Superman's household dog, the House of El on Krypton, before it exploded and before his pod was sent to Earth. In the original version of events, crypto came in Superman's pod. What James Gunn has changed about that originally is to make him Kara Zor-El's dog, and she met him for the first time on Argo City before it was completely destroyed. But the other big part of the lore here, too, is why he has powers, and that's because he is a Kryptonian biology from Argo City. Argo City is from Krypton before it exploded, so that's why he has powers in present day. Just starting at the beginning of the trailer, this is a funeral procession on Argo City after the planet has left Krypton, like after Krypton's destruction, and they're slowly dying off. I'll explain why in a second. But it's meant to be a funeral for Kara's mother. That's why the camera focuses on her, Allura Inze. You actually see her in the other part of the trailer when the city is leaving Krypton and everyone is screaming and running around. And what's happening here, what you're actually seeing here, obviously a little bit of an Easter egg for Brainiac bottling up cities, but what's really happening is it's actually her father, Zor-El, that's actually covering the city in protective bubble so that it can leave Krypton, and he's basically bottling up the city, so to speak, in regular size. Like he's not shrinking it down like Brainiac, but he's bottling the city in this special force field so that it can just float through space and survive while Krypton is destroyed. This is meant to be a parallel the way they edit it in the trailer in present day with her talking to Ruthie about the destruction of Krypton. Ruthie starts asking her, what is it like to be the last Kryptonian or the last Kryptonians, because she also tells him about Superman. Like, no, I'm not the only one. There's one other.
What was it like to lose everything in a day?
But when she says the gods are not that kind, there are multiple Kryptonian gods that she's referring to, their Kryptonian pantheon. They're not that kind because the people of Argo City were slowly poisoned by the actual planet itself, which actually became irradiated and turned into kryptonite after Krypton's destruction. So Argo City, at least at first, turned into this life raft of a Kryptonian city that survived. All the people that were in Argo City survived. She survived with her family, but over time, they slowly began to die because of kryptonite poisoning. So when she says Krypton didn't die in a day, that's what she's talking about. It took most of the people in Argo City a very long time to die, and it was very, very painful for them. All of them died of cancer brought on by kryptonite poisoning. David Krumholtz is playing her father, Zor-El, in the movie. You can actually see him in the background of the procession here, too. And the idea here is they're saying that she actually found crypto for the first time in the ruins of Argo City while they're floating through space in this life raft form with the dome shield over it. I wonder if we'll find out who his original owner was, who his original master was. But this is also the whole reason why there's a stray dog at all inside Argo City. Like, Kryptonians are so advanced, why would they have a bunch of stray dogs running around? It's all because at this point, Krypto's original owner has also died of kryptonite poisoning. So part of the idea here is that he's been left to fend for himself in the ruins, and she finds him and adopts him, basically. Krypto is an adoption dog, which is also meant to dovetail with Uzo, James Gunn's real-life dog, because he said when he originally wrote the Superman movie, that's when he introduced the Krypto character in general into the DCU. He originally thought about his dog, and that was his in to the actual story. There are a couple bits that he explained about Krypto's backstory and the reason why he was so wild. Obviously, there was the Supergirl post-credit scene, and they make that joke about Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, not training him very well, and that's why he was so wild. But it actually goes way beyond that. James Gunn modeled Krypto's personality, like his wild ways, after Uzo, the dog that he adopted, because the dog that he adopted in real life was actually very mistreated, raised in this very bad situation, had been traumatized, so it took him a long time to actually train the dog. If you've ever adopted a dog before, a lot of times this will happen, where something really bad has happened to the dog, and you have to basically rehabilitate it so that it can be around other humans. So it said when he wrote the Superman movie, that was kind of his idea for the Krypto character in general. So the idea here during the Supergirl movie is we're actually seeing that in whatever happened to Krypto's original owner, he has been traumatized by their death and has been trying to survive on the streets of Argo City, probably about to die from starvation as well. And then Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, comes along and finds him, adopts him, and tries to start rehabilitating him. So if you didn't catch it during the Superman movie, Krypto was originally Supergirl's dog, and she just gave him to Superman to dog sit, while she seems like she was busy going to another system with a red sun where she could get drunk.
She likes to go and party on other planets. Planets with red suns.
Also, if it wasn't clear, I believe the Superman post-credit scene is still meant to take place before the events of the Supergirl movie, because Krypto is a big part of the Supergirl movie. It seems like they've already changed the original Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow that they're adapting for this quite a bit. Like, there's some stuff that they've taken out. They've changed some characterizations, like Jason Momoa's Lobo is not in the original comic book version of the story. It's Comet the Super Horse that I believe they're swapping in Lobo for the final fight during the original comic book version of the story. We'll get to that in a second, too, because I think it's meant to also set Lobo up, Jason Momoa's Lobo, for future projects as well, too. Some of the other changes it seems like they made for the movie based on the footage here and what people have said is that Krem of the Yellow Hills is meant to be the main villain. He's here. He looks like he's a Ravager from a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of movie. Supposedly in the movie, he's going to be leading the space pirates instead of just joining up with them in order to survive after Supergirl starts to come for him. The whole idea in the original comic book version of the story, Superman Woman of Tomorrow, is that he kills Ruthie's father because he's a king's man charged with making sure that all of the subjects on Ruthie's planet are still loyal to the king. And one day he just randomly breaks bad and kills her father for really no good reason at all, but then runs off. Ruthie declares revenge and then eventually finds Supergirl and she starts to help him. But in the process of Ruthie getting Supergirl to help her take down Krem, get revenge on him, he winds up wounding Krypto, and the way the story plays up Krypto's fate is that she needs to find Krem to get the antidote to the poison that he tipped his arrows with in order to save Krypto's life. But in reality, Supergirl uses this voyage to go find Krem on the other side of the universe because Krem runs off trying to escape with the space pirates, to basically give Ruthie a way to process the death of her father in a way that Supergirl did not have any kind of catharsis or way of dealing with it. And she also deals with the destruction of Krypton a little bit. So it's a bit of a psychological journey, like the friends we make along the way kind of story. And even though the trailer here plays up the idea that she's been under a red sun, so she doesn't have the same level of powers that she had before, eventually, at a certain point, they do make it near a yellow sun. She does get her full powers back, and eventually reveals that she could have found Krem any time that she wanted and taken him down all by herself without any help. She didn't need any big special power. She could have done it any time. And she has been using this long way around kind of journey to help Ruthie basically emotionally deal with her father's death, like I said. One of the other changes here for the story, it also seems like, is that Krypto is with them for a much bigger part of the actual journey itself. In the original comic book version of the story, Krypto is really only in like the very beginning of the story and like the very, very end of the story. One of the other changes, too, is they've condensed the story quite a bit, too. Like, they've cut a lot of stuff out. So I think a lot of stuff takes place in a more localized place than it did before. The comic book has them going to many, many different space systems, many, many different types of suns, like many different adventures along the way. Most of this fight here you see with the giant ship is the pirate ship. It's called the Bonnie Prince Charlie. It's a big sailing ship in the comics. They've obviously changed it to make it look more like a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of ship during this movie. But this is meant to be from the final big battle when she's in her Supergirl suit just destroying them here. Also, I think the other big change they've made is that in the original comic book story, Comet the Super Horse is the one that comes in and helps her take down the space pirates here because they all gang up on her with a couple really special weapons and a kryptonite weapon that is also supposed to slow her down quite a bit. Maybe there'll still be some kryptonite weapons that the space pirates use here, but I think what they've done is they've swapped Comet the Super Horse for Jason Momoa's Lobo in the story in general, because supposedly he's going to be critical to the final big battle in the movie, and even though in the comics he's neither really a hero nor a villain, he's going to be helping her with the space pirates in some way. And I think that just screams substituting him for Comet the Super Horse. Maybe they'll mention Comet the Super Horse in the background. There'll be like an Easter egg for him. But as weird as James Gunn seems comfortable in doing in the DCU just in general, like his films just in general, way weirder than other traditional comic book movies, maybe they just decided that Comet the Super Horse wasn't tonally on brand with what they wanted to go with for the tone of the Supergirl movie. People who have been attending some of the secret screenings for the movie say that it's a combination of the tone of the Superman movie, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. People have been saying that it looks kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which it seems pretty right. The Logan movie, surprisingly, Man of Steel, and Last of Us mashed together, which makes it sound like it's way more hardcore than the Superman movie, just in terms of tone, way heavier emotional themes. Also, the idea that visually the vibes will just be very different because it's meant to be pure space fantasy, according to James Gunn, compared to, say, the Superman movie, which is more of a terrestrial-based movie. My assumption is that when we get to Man of Tomorrow, we have Brainiac come into the story. There'll probably be some other cosmic characters that they'll include in the movie. The Superman mythos will just grow in a more cosmic direction too, but he wanted the first Superman movie to start at relatively ground level, so to speak. Like, we'll start small and then ease them into the super weird DC stuff. But the other recent real big surprise you might have spotted or might have heard people talking about is that Junkie XL is replacing the old composer on the movie. So now Junkie XL is doing the music for the Supergirl film. He previously, most people remember obviously, did Zack Snyder's movies, including his non-DC movies too. But in the DCU specifically, it was Batman v Superman in the Justice League Snyder Cut. There was a little bit of the Supergirl theme that Ramin Djawadi, who also did the Game of Thrones music back in the day, he's also done a bunch of other stuff too, like Westworld, other big TV shows. He's also doing the Fallout TV show music right now too. Ramin Djawadi posted a little bit of his Supergirl theme. Doesn't it sound a little bit like Junkie XL? Now just imagine a much more hardcore version of that for the entire movie. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any Easter eggs or references in this new footage that I didn't talk about during the video or my previous videos, just write it below in the comments. And I will do more videos as we get more footage. We'll probably see more of Lobo in the future trailers too. We'll learn more about the Man of Tomorrow movie pretty soon too, and we'll probably get a Clayface trailer in the next couple of months. That movie isn't coming out till the end of the year, and they just pushed it by another month too. So it sounds like they just need to polish the special effects way more. Also really hoping that we get another full Lanterns trailer at some time too, but because that's not coming out till after the Supergirl movie, we probably won't get a bunch of Lanterns trailers until the next month or two, like maybe sometime during the spring. Because it is Super Bowl Sunday, there'll be a couple other big trailers that are releasing. Mandalorian and Grogu is supposed to have one. That'll be one of my next big videos. Click here for that. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for my Lanterns trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.